Well, thank you for coming in to speak to us. We're assuming that since you're a doctor, you must have studied medicine.
I did, in fact.
That's a relief.
Study medicine, yes.
So you want to tell us, what does it mean to study medicine?
Well, medicine is short for medical science, and to study medicine is actually to study disease. And so you focus on mainly on the things that go wrong in the body, but to know how things go wrong, you first have to know how things go right. So you spend a lot of time in the beginning studying healthy bodies, or what is normal, so that you can identify what is abnormal. So I'm thinking of an example when they train people in the bank to pick up counterfeit money, that's fake money. They don't actually give them fake money. They just give them real money, and so they work with real money all the time. So that, and then when they see a fake note, they can identify it because they know what the real looks like.
And so Teacher Kaden did a lesson with us 2 days ago, and we were learning about some of the differences between the medicine that you've just described, so what we call Western medicine, so learning about the body and diseases and healthy bodies and how to cure disease. But we also learned about traditional medicine, so especially in Africa, but we've learned that there's traditional medicine all over the world. And in the lesson we learned that doctors who practice traditional medicine often believe that medicine's not only about the body, but it's also spiritual. What do you think about that? Did that come up for you at med school? Does it come up for you in your day-to-day practice?
Well, funny enough, that wasn't a big focus in the past when, in terms of medical science. So when you talk about Western medicine, we're talking about scientific medicine.
Yeah.
That is actually not really a main, people didn't really even think about it. When you think about science, you think about things you can touch, you can see, you can look at it under a microscope.
That's exactly what I was thinking of, a microscope.
You know, so some people don't even believe that the spiritual world even exists because you can't see it. So medical science wasn't really aware of that in the past, but I'm starting to see a bit of a pattern now where medical science is becoming aware of the spiritual world, and so people are becoming more aware of it. In doctors, surgeons, scientists are becoming more aware of the spiritual side of things, but it wasn't really a big focus in the past.
Sure, that's very interesting. But so then, if in your practice of medicine you're aware of things like to do with the mind, the spirit, because we've learned in our class that the Bible says we're a body, a soul, and a spirit. How do you deal with that? Do medical doctors deal with that? Do you rely on other professionals to help with that?
Well, I'm a general doctor, or I'm a family doctor, so I deal with anything that people feel distressed about, or anything that discomforts people, or so I'm focused on trying to find the root cause of the problem. What is causing this person's pain, or what's causing why can't they sleep? Why are they anxious? So I've got to be like a detective and find out what's wrong. But there's other branches of medicine. So some people are focused on surgery. So they do a lot of operations, and then some people are focused on what we call radiology. So they do X-rays and scans. But I'm a general doctor. So another word for that is a primary care doctor. And so this is an area. So spiritual things are often a cause for physical complaints. So someone can be not sleeping at night, for example, and there's no real rhyme or reason why they're not sleeping at night. But if you look deeper and you go into the person's story, you can find that there's a spiritual reason. So they may be having a problem forgiving people, and so they can't forgive. So they're feeling sad or angry, and so they can't sleep at night. So someone comes to the doctor because they can't sleep. It can also be other reasons, but spiritual is one of the things that can cause illness and pain.
Well, that's so fascinating, because the Bible does talk about the importance. I mean, even just that one example you used, the Bible talks about the importance of that, but it doesn't say there'll be insomnia. But somebody might come to the doctor and say, I've got insomnia. That means you can't sleep regularly. You struggle with being able to go to sleep. So it's amazing that somebody could come with a physical, they might call it an illness, and yet there might actually be a spiritual reason for that. So isn't it interesting that even Western medicine seems to have a spiritual component, not just traditional medicine? That seems to be what you're saying, especially as a general doctor. That seems to be something you deal with.
Yes, definitely. So I think it's not common for Western medicine to focus on the spiritual side of things. So I think I'm unique in that, or there's more and more doctors that are becoming spiritually aware, but I think my faith has been a big part of that. So I'm a follower of Jesus, so I've got a spiritual awareness in general. So I'm not, when we talk about being a doctor, it's interesting to think about what that means, because when I say I am a doctor, is that really true? Maybe a better way to say it is I am a person who has a skill or has knowledge about medical science, because that's my job is not who I am. And so who I am actually, it's like using a tool. If you put the tool down, then you no longer. So if medicine is a tool, then I can put the tool down and I can pick it up. But it's not the tool that makes someone better, it's the person using the tool. So I think it's important to realize that not all doctors are the same, like not all teachers are the same, like not all presidents are the same, so it's important so the person that's using the tool has got a world view, call it. So it's a way of seeing things. And so I really love looking at people in a holistic way. So that means, do you know what holistic means?
Whole body.
The whole body, okay.
Is it only the body? We learned about this in my first lesson.
No, it's also your mind and your soul and your spirit.
Yes. You want to add anything? So your mind, your soul, your spirit.
Right. Good. So what is the soul?
Yes, you can check.
Good. you guys know what the soul is?
Isn't the soul like
Yeah.
isn't the soul like what makes you
Can you point to the soul?
inside?
Inside.
It's not
Is it
physical.
here? Is it
Not
here?
physical.
It's everywhere. It's your whole, it's your personality.
Okay.
It's your
soul.
Your living state. Yeah.
So
So what notes do we have on the soul?
Your mental being.
Your mental being could be your mind.
isn't it like
So
what helps you?
What else other than our
As a
minds?
person?
No.
So we do have a spirit as well. We are spirit, yeah.
so a common way to say what is a person is to say a person is a body, a soul, and a spirit. Okay, so there's three components to us. So I love to see people as body, soul, and spirit, because it helps me firstly to see the value and the importance of people. So they're not just. So we have a saying, you know, don't treat the disease, treat the person. So you want someone comes in. So how does that change how you treat someone? If you're treating someone as a person, not as a disease, well, for example, someone comes in and they sprained their toe, you know, then you don't focus on the person's toe, you know, so you don't talk to the person's toe. You talk to the person who has the toe. So that's just a silly example to say when someone's coming in with something wrong with them, you know that they might be having a bad day. They might be feeling scared that you're going to cut their toe off, you know. So you've got to think about people in, you know, the whole person. So have you guys thought about the soul? What is the soul? Okay, maybe that's homework for you guys, eh?
No.
Find out what the soul is. Do some research. Maybe also we've been focusing a lot on interviews this term. So maybe that's another interview we could do with our families and friends, just like we did our first one, just chatting, not writing anything down, but just finding out people's ideas. What do they think that the soul is?
Your whole body. Get the dictionary.
We can do that later. Yeah,
Like what
that's a
we
good
did
idea.
with the chapter.
Yeah, exactly. But we also maybe just for us to start wrapping up, we're going to also be looking at some of the scientific discoveries that have happened in medicine. And one of the things that I'm looking forward to showing with the class is that some of the discoveries that have really changed medicine are actually very simple, surprisingly simple. But do you have a particular discovery or invention that you think is, if not the most significant, then a really significant discovery?
I'll tell you two, and they're linked. But the first one, the most important discovery in modern science, in medical science that I can think of, is the discovery of the germ.
And we're going to learn about that. Yeah.
So they discovered. Before they discovered it, they didn't even know germs existed, and so with, and then there's a very interesting story about a man. I can't remember his name, but he discovered that a germ that lives in the stomach, and nobody, even though we knew about germs at that point, nobody thought that germs could survive in the stomach, because the stomach's filled with acid, and acid kills germs. So nobody even thought to go look for germs in the stomach. But a man, he discovered what he thought was a germ that lived in the stomach. So, and he couldn't find anyone to test this on, so he tested it on himself. So he grew some germs in a little plate. Or these germs that he thought lived in the stomach, he grew them in this plate, and then he made a soup with them, and then he drank it. and he got really sick.
Mm.
And then he went and he put a camera down his throat to look at it inside his stomach, and took photos, and then he took some antibiotics which kill germs, and then he put the camera down again, and his stomach was better, and he won a Nobel Prize for that. And so now that changed things quite a lot, because before, when people would get stomach ulcers, they didn't realize that this germ was involved in a stomach ulcer. So many people would have to have surgery to get their ulcers cut out, and so they would cut part of their stomach out, and then they would sew their stomach back together. And so after that, they also invented a medicine that stopped acid. So stomach ulcers used to be managed by surgeons mainly. Now stomach ulcers are mainly managed with medicine. So that's just a nice story about how medicine can change with the discovery. But then another important discovery, which is linked to germ theory, is hand washing. So hand washing is one of the most important discoveries that has happened in medicine. Very simple, but has saved a lot of lives, because if you think about, well, how did germs get onto people, or how did germs get into people? Well, sometimes the doctor can carry the germs from one patient to another patient, so the doctor's actually making everyone sick when they're supposed to be making one better. So yeah. Anyways,
so we're going to look at all of that in next term. We're going to look at germ theory, we're going to look at hygiene, we're going to look at the invention of antibiotics, and so you've heard it from a doctor himself. Those are some of the most significant discoveries in medicine. We have to remember that because of living in 2023, we think of amazing discoveries in medicine as things like someone finding a new cure for a very rare form of cancer. And that is an amazing discovery, but we remember our topic is going to be medicine through time. And some of the most significant discoveries in medicine are things that just seem like stock standard, everybody knows it, type of things today. So just for our last question, do you want to just share with us, we've been learning a lot about medicine as health and healing. Those words seem to be coming up a lot. Do you want to just share your view on what does it mean to be healthy? So presumably if we are unhealthy, we would go to the doctor and we would be looking to become healthy. What would that mean to you? How would you decide my patient is now healthy?
Well, this is a very difficult question to answer, because it depends on your perspective. So this is a very personal answer. So what I'm going to say now is what I think health is, but it's important to understand that health means different things to different people. So maybe that's your second piece of homework, is to think about what does health mean to you. But for me, it's essentially, it's come down to one word. Over the years, I've thought about this a lot. One of my favorite definitions of health I learned in medical school was about. So it says, health is not the absence of disease, but it's a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. So being healthy is not about not being sick. That's the bottom line. So it's about the potential to be well. But on that, that's quite a long definition. So I've come to a single word that I think defines health best, and that's the word balance. And so, is it healthy to exercise? Who thinks it's healthy to exercise? Okay, I've seen people that exercise too much. They're not well because they're exercising too much. And they're trying to cope with things, maybe stress, and so they overtrain. Okay, who thinks it's healthy to eat healthy? Okay, I've seen people that are obsessed with eating healthy. So they can't function normally in life. So they can't, and they get sick because they don't want to eat anything because they think it's not healthy. So that's an example of how health is about balance. It's not about one specific thing that's healthy. It's about having a balanced life and not overdoing it. So you'll go, just, can I tell you a secret? You guys, eating sweets can be healthy.
Lollipops every day, guys.
But when you think about balance, then you think, okay, eating too many sweets can be unhealthy. Okay, so
Eating too much of anything or doing too much of
so why do you think eating sweets can be healthy? Why do you think I said it? Okay, shout out. What is?
So you can get good blood sugar. You can get good sugar.
Yes. So maybe your blood sugar can be too low. So eating a sweet can make your blood sugar normal. Yeah, that's a good. That's a good one.
If you don't eat enough, if you don't have enough sugar in your immune system, your blood will start shaking.
You might get shaky.
Yeah, because you'll be hungry.
And what happens to your soul when you eat sweets?
Makes you happy.
Makes you happy, and is being happy healthy?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what I think about health.
If you're over happy, it's not good.
So you're saying you could be too happy? That's true. Yeah, you're right. Exactly. So you're getting my point. Yeah.
So what's the word we need to remember then?
Balance.
Balance. Yeah. The one word. Balanced diet, balanced emotions, balanced exercise, balanced eating, balanced everything. Okay, so just, thank you for sharing that with us. We're going to end off and then we'll give the class, we're going to give you guys a chance to ask some questions just now. But just to wrap up, I think what we're taking away too is that we're going to go and do some research on what are other people's views about the soul, and then what are other people's views about health, because you've shared some of your personal views and it's going to be interesting for us to find out just what's out there. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.